Alright guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today. For this one, we are going to do another out and about video for you. So today, I'm in Budapest in Hungary, my very first time here. Really nice city actually. Very difficult language, I have to say, so I'm probably going to butcher a whole bunch of the pronunciations that you'll hear in this video, so my apologies in advance for that. But we're going to check out this place behind me, which is called Parabolic Lazarus Brewery. Now, this one's quite interesting because it's very newly opened, 2024 from what I understand, and it is just a little brew pub, so you can only get this beer here from what I understand. So let's do as we always do. We'll go in, we'll try some of the beer, we'll have a look around, we'll have a little bit of food, and we'll hopefully have a good time. Let's go. Alright guys, so yeah, this is the entrance to Parabolic Lazarus Brew Pub, and this street is actually Lazarus Street. So you can see straight up there, you've got the Basilica. If we zoom in a little bit, there you go. And if you continue down that way, you have the Opera House, and funnily enough, you've got the embassy for the Democratic Republic of Congo there as well. So yeah, quite a good location. But yeah, let's zoom back out a wee second. So there you can see the entrance. And as you can see, if you come over, you can see the brewery symbol there. Parabolic Lazarus tells you the beers they've got on tap as well, which is quite nice. Live music, homemade food, and then yeah, it tells you Sörfőzde, which is brewery, probably butchering that pronunciation as I've said. And yeah, you can get some brewery tours and local craft beer. So yeah, I will say the decor here is quite interesting. You can see a lot of it's kind of hand drawn, and then it's been decorated by people that have come in. And this place is, yeah, it's literally like a little cellar brewery. You can see very, very small scale. You can see when you come straight down, they've got the fermentation tanks there. You can smell the nice malt and things going on there. It looks very, very cool. So yeah, this is a proper little brew pub, this one. And you can see we're down in the sort of catacombs almost. They've got their flag there as well. And yeah, basically, you come this way and yeah, you've got the kitchen over there, some nice artwork, and they've got all the flags up for the World Cup just now, and you can see, yeah, they have got some nice artwork there. And there's Miss Amanda chilling, enjoying her first beer. And yeah, you come up here, and you've got the bar. So it's kind of, they do DJ sets and everything from what I understand, and yeah, it's pretty cool. So yeah, I think it's about time for us to have a little look at the first beer. And I was sitting over here because I figured this would be a nice place to film, and I noticed somebody's had a go at drawing the Scotland flag, so it's very welcoming for us. You enjoying your beer?
Yes, I draw a Chilean flag very well.
Alright, yeah. There we go. Let's get started.
There's another Scotland no party there.
Oh, there's no Scotland no party, that's always good. Alright, well we'll find that later, but there we go, let's get started. Alright guys, well here is the tap list today at Parabolic Lazarus Brewery in Budapest. So yeah, quite an interesting array of stuff. So just for price reference, 1,000 Hungarian forints is like €3, about £2.60 sterling, something like that. And yeah, you get your measures in 0.3 and 0.5. So yeah, you can see they have a cider, a blonde, I think that's a Belgian type blonde beer, that one, a session IPA, a raspberry ale, Agent Orange, a tomato ale, and then a milk stout. So yeah, quite a nice array of styles here. Let's just have a go at our next beer then, and we'll see what we enjoy. Alright guys, well let's have a little look then at our first beer here at Parabolic Lazarus in Budapest in Hungary. So yeah, the first one we're having a look at then is called Agent Orange. It comes in at 5.5% ABV. They told me this one is an American pale ale, and just going by the appearance of this one, I think it's like a hazy New England type pale ale, this beer. When it came out, it had about a half finger of a frothy, kind of perfect white head on it. That's faded away, of course. just between bringing it from the bar onto the table. The head didn't stick around too long, but yeah, you can see this one is pretty damn hazy actually. So colour wise, it's a wee bit hard to tell actually in this light, to be honest with you. But if I take it up there, I think it's a sort of like mixed tropical fruit juice colour actually. So yeah, remember the colour of your beer depends on a few different things. One, the type of malts that you use. This goes a long way to determining your EBC rating. Two, the length of your wort boil is going to play a role, because the longer you boil the wort, the more the sugars caramelise and thus you get a darker colour of beer. But any barrel aging that you do or adjuncts you put into the beer will affect its colour as well. But yeah, when it comes to like the IPA style family or umbrella, and I include pale ales and barley wines and stuff in that as well, you don't often have to care about those latter two variables, to be honest with you. Although barley wines, yeah, you tend to barrel age those sometimes. But yeah, appearance wise, it looks very much like a New England variety pale ale, this one of course. Not too much in the way of visible carbonation, one or two big bubbles sticking toward the side of the glass and a few little ones just kind of coming up toward the surface there. But as you can see, the head on this one has faded away to be pretty much nothing. There's just a little bit of wispiness in the middle of the liquid there, and a bit of kind of a foamy ring around the edge of the glass. But all in all, it looks pretty nice, this one. As I say, very much, its appearance is very much along the lines of like a New England pale ale more than anything else. So let's have a little look at the aroma of this one then and just see what it's all about. Oh, right, okay. I'm going to say this is really interesting because he did tell me this was very, very fresh. And it's that fresh that it's almost to the point of it actually smells like, you know, when you're clearing out the mash tun, it really does actually just smell a little bit like that. But of course you get all the other stuff coming out a little bit later on. Now, when it comes to the New England varieties, for me, there's kind of 6 elements to think about when it comes to the malty and yeasty side of these beers. You've got the sort of farmhousey yeasty type character and the rye leaning grainy side of things. Those 2 elements are a little bit more common in New England brewed New England IPAs because, you know, the style started off as a kind of farmhouse IPA, but as it's evolved and moved elsewhere, the focus is more on barley malt bread. It's more on barley malt bread, wheaty bitiness, oaty creaminess, and also the sweeter side of things. So for me, this one comes across as being really quite oaty leaning more than anything else. So yeah, it's got a lovely bit of oaty character to it. So lots of oatiness coming out of this one, and it's giving you everything you'd expect of the style. Nice bready backbone, fruitiness is in there, good little bit of green component as well. But yeah, let's just break it down and be a little bit more detailed, should we say. So the backbone of this beer, you've got a lovely kind of fresh white bready bread crust in there. Little bit of woody character as well. Some nice sort of Jacob's cream crackery sort of notes. So yeah, fresh white bread crust, little bit of wood, little bit of Jacob's cream cracker, and a wee bit of wholemeal brown bread. And those 4 elements do give you a little bit of dryness in the aroma of this beer. But on top of that, you've got a lovely, fresh, fluffy, white bready character coming out of this one. So yeah, big, fluffy, fresh white bread in there. Good little bit of wheatiness as well, and a little bit of bitiness from that in the back of the nose. But like I said, this beer, for me, the malt base is really oaty leaning. There's lots of creamy oaty character in there. And on top of that, you do get just a little touch of sweetness out of this. So there's a wee bit of that, like Werther's Original Butter Candy Butterscotch, and a wee bit of a kind of McVitie's digestive biscuity sort of thing out of this one. So maybe a little bit of Golden Promise in this one, could be. There's something that smells quite familiar about the malt base here, but at the same time, it comes across as, you can tell that this is very small batch. It's got a little bit of that almost kind of raw, porridgey sort of vibe to it, which I find really quite interesting actually. So yeah, the malty aroma of this is very nice. Now, yeasty side of things at the back of the nose. The yeasty side of this beer for me, at its core, it's got quite a bit of like that buttery wholemeal brown bread. As you move further out from that, there's a fluffy, kind of dense white bread, and then the very edge of your yeasty character is more like a sort of smooth white bready bread crust. And yeah, the yeasty character in this one's got a lovely smooth dryness to it, which I think goes together very nicely. So the malt base in this beer is very smooth, very creamy, slightly sweet, and the malt base, the yeasty side of this beer is quite dense, and it gives you a little bit of dryness, but it's also very, very smooth. Yeah, so it smells great, this one actually. The more you smell of the malt base actually, the more you get out of it. So let's look at the hoppy side of things then. So when it comes to brewing an IPA, pale ale, whatever, there's 3 types of hopping that you can do. You've got early addition hopping, which takes place within the first hour or so of the wort boil. That gives you the vast majority of your bitterness and a deeper, danker green component. You've got late addition hopping, which takes place within the latter half hour or so of your wort boil. That gives you a little bit of bitterness, but mainly flavour and aroma and a very bright green component. Then you've got dry hopping, which takes place after the wort boil is complete, and that's all about flavour and aroma, and again it gives you a very bright green component. Now West Coast IPAs and pale ales tend to use all 3 types of hopping, which is why they're deeper, danker, more oily and bitter. New England IPAs tend to rely on late addition and dry hopping, which is why they're softer and more juicy. You also have to account for the use of like cryo and hop oil products these days, which have really smoothened out the green component in a lot of these beers over the last wee while. So yeah, with this one, it is very, very fresh. But you do get a little bit of dankness out of this one. I mean, for me, there's a wee tiny touch of earthiness in there, a little bit of woody herbal character, but you do get nice, there's a bit of floral aromaticity, but for me it's actually really quite leafy and quite grassy, the green component on this one. So yeah, the aroma, the green component in this one is kind of what you would expect from a New England. But not, as I say, not overly dank, mostly leafy and quite wet, to be honest with you. So yeah, it's quite an interesting aroma coming out of this. On the fruity side of things, I wouldn't bet against there being Mandarina Bavaria in this. It smells like it's German hopped, and yeah, you get that little bit of, there's just something about this beer that makes me think it's German hopped, and it's got that orangey character. I mean, when it's called Agent Orange, that kind of makes sense, and of course the obvious hop to use from Germany then is Mandarina Bavaria, so wouldn't be surprised if that's in here. But I do get a little bit of like apricot-y character, maybe a wee bit of passion fruit, but yeah, it leans toward that nice oily bright orange, and again, Mandarina Bavaria to me is the one the thing that would stand out there. So yeah, I think we've said everything we need about the aroma. This one, it comes across really nicely, but at the same time you can smell it's quite raw and quite small batch brewed. But I think it is about time for us to have a taste of this one. But as I always say, take a bit of time to enjoy the aroma of your beer before you get stuck into it. Let's taste this one then. So yeah, this is Agent Orange, a 5.5% American Pale Ale is how the guys here described it. Let's see what this is all about. Slange, skål, cheers. I can't pronounce cheers in Hungarian. It's very, very difficult, but yeah, there we go. Let's try. Oh, okay. It actually tastes like it's got a bit of orange in it. So yeah, could this be a fruit IPA? It could be. Yeah, it actually tastes as if it's got a bit of orange in it as well, but it feels like it's a kind of New England sort of base. But then yeah, I think there's a bit of orange on top of this too. So yeah, that's kind of interesting. So I think it is actually literally an orange IPA, this one. And that's quite interesting. That would maybe explain the kind of colour of this one a bit and the level of opacity that it has. The opacity in these beers, of course, usually depends on the oak content, wheat content, and to a degree what yeast you use. So yeah, this one for me, I think this is an orange IPA. I think it's, I think this is a properly fruit adjunct orange IPA. So yeah, I do quite like this actually. It's got a bit of tang to it and a nice kind of smooth sort of creamy backbone. So yeah, let's just break it down and describe it for you more in depth then, as we always do. Middle third of your palate then, the backbone of this beer you've got a lovely kind of fresh white bready bread crust in there. Further forward on your palate, you get a little bit of a kind of woody character, of course. Then on top of that, there's some Jacob's cream crackery notes, and then yeah, those three elements do give you that little bit of dryness into the aftertaste. And yeah, on top of that, you've got some fluffy, fresh, like white bready character in there. It's quite dense actually, which is interesting. I do wonder if the Hungarians produce some of their own malt, because the sort of characteristics of the malt base in here seem a little bit different. In fact, so, and I mean, you know, Hungary was part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire once upon a time, and you see that in Croatia. When I've been to Croatia as well, which was also part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, they do a lot of Vienna lagers and things, so it wouldn't surprise me if the Hungarians produce quite a bit of their own malt as well. But the bready character in this one's really nice. It just feels that little bit more dense, if you like, and it does have a wee bit more crispness to it. So there's just a bit of a different vibe to the malt base here, which I find quite interesting. But yeah, as I say, above the cracker, you've got a little bit of a more wholemeal brown bready kind of character, a wee bit denser further forward, drier further back. Then you get that fluffy white bready character above it from the barley malt. Again, a bit denser further forward, a wee bit drier further back. Then you can feel the nice wheaty character coming out of this one, a really dense white bread. And then down the middle line of your palate, you can feel the nice oaty creamy characters. And as you push out toward the edges of your palate there, you can feel the oat just has a little bit of dryness to it. But it's more like a kind of porridgey character, I have to say. But yeah, I like that about this one. In the dead centre of your palate, you can feel that little circle there where you've got some Werther's Original, butter candy, butterscotch. And I think, yeah, that's the alcohol coming out of the beer. So you can feel that lovely little bit of buttery Werther's Original, butter candy, butterscotch in there. And that gets a big thumbs up from me. I do really like that about this one. So yeah, malt base in this one is really nicely done. If you go to the back third of your palate, you're going to get very similar flavours to the middle third of your palate, but different intensities. You can feel they're a bit drier. So yeah, the back third of your palate, the bread crust and the cracker feel a little bit more dry. The wholemeal brown bready character feels a little bit lighter, taller, more airy and dry as well. You've got the white bready layer above that, which you can say the same about. The wheaty character just kind of comes on top there. It's got a bit more bitiness to it. The oaty creaminess just creeps over the top a little bit. Then you've got the yeasty side of the beer. So for me, the yeasty side of this one, at its core, a little bit of buttery wholemeal brown bread. As you move further out from that, it's got a little bit more of a sort of drier, grainy wholemeal brown bready character. Then the very edge of your yeasty character is a little bit more like white bready bread crust and a little bit sort of crackery, I would say. So I really do like how that goes together. And definitely, yeah, back third of your palate, you can feel the flavour is taller. Then as you move further forward into the middle third of your palate, it just kind of compresses down and squashes together that little bit more. So yeah, malty, yeasty side of this beer is really nice. Let's go on to the hoppy side of things then. So yeah, green component of this beer, you definitely can get it there, and it does feel a little bit German and noble, but I think the orange that's in here is really pushing back against that. You've got this nice citrusy character around the edges of your palate. Whenever you add fruit into beer as an adjunct, it's always going to suppress your green component a little bit. So yeah, in the back corners of your palate, there's a nice little bit of earthiness in there. As you move further forward, it's a wee bit more kind of woody and herbal. And then yeah, pushing further and further forward, you get some more floral aromatic. There's a wee bit of pine resiny dankness in there as well, incidentally. But then yeah, around the front curve of your tongue, the beer is definitely lighter and more grassy. But yeah, you can feel the zesty orange just kind of pushing back against that green component all the way. So yeah, quite interesting how this beer goes together, in fact. Front third of your palate then, and the fruity part of the beer. So the base of that front third of your palate is all the crackery and bready layers that we talked about earlier, but they just feel a little bit smoother and a little touch sweeter. And on top of that, you get that nice oily bubble where the juicy fruity esters roll their way out of the hops. So let's have a wee look at that. Yeah. So, the fruit from the hops in this one, I think there's a little touch of grapefruit to this one. Like further back on that front of your palate, I do get a little bit of grapefruit. And as you move further forward, it gets a wee bit more passion fruity, a little bit of apricot-y character, then yeah, some nice oily orange. coming out of this one. And on top of that, of course, you get the orange adjunct in this beer, and that kind of pushes the beer in the orangey direction, hence why it's called Agent Orange, of course. So yeah, I'd be curious to know what hops they've used in this. I wonder maybe a little bit of Chinook, maybe a bit of Amarillo. You know, it does taste a bit German too, so maybe Mandarin of Bavaria, not sure. But yeah, the way that this goes together is really interesting. And the thing that's interesting for me about this one is that from the aroma, I didn't detect that it was a fruit IPA or a fruit paleo. The adjunct was quite well hidden by everything else. So yeah, it just goes to show you. But I think we said everything we need to about the flavour with this one. The things that linger into the aftertaste are the oatiness, the breadiness, and a little bit of the sweetness. And yeah, you've got that nice big zesty orangey character with a little bit of the grapefruit just pushing its way out. But yeah, mouthfeel wise for me, this beer's pushing like top end and mid-bodied. It's got quite a lot of body to it for a 5.5% paleo, but with this being like a kind of brew pub, brauhaus type beer, you will get that a little bit more when it's coming straight out the tank and into the taps. You will get that. So yeah, top end and mid-bodied for me. Lovely smooth carbonation, quite a creamy mouthfeel, but it also does have a little bit of cleanliness to it as well. The malt base is drier underneath, smooth in the middle, quite creamy and sweet on top. You've got lovely, juicy, fruity notes to this one. And as I say, it's got a little bit of that tang because of the orange adjunct in there. In terms of IBUs, this one isn't that bitter. It's maybe about 25 or 30, but of course the orangey character around the side kind of lingers there and does give you a wee bit of that kind of tangy, zesty, slightly bitter orange. But yeah, really interesting beer, this one. And it's interesting because I couldn't detect the orange in the aroma initially. But yeah, I think that's a nice introduction to Parabolic Lazarus. So that one was Agent Orange, a 5.5% American Paleo. Obviously a little bit of orange added into this one. Let's leave it at that for this and we'll go on to something else in a wee second. Cheers. Alright guys, so I just wanted to show you a little bit of the Parabolic Lazarus artwork because I don't think we're going to get another opportunity to see that. So yeah, there is the man-eater with the wolf there. That's the original one. Then there's the Agent Orange there, which looks really cool. Pink Parabola is just a little chalk drawing. The Blonde Paradox, which isn't on today, is kind of around there. And then you've got the Phantom of the Opera Milk Stout. So some really nice artwork there. But I also wanted to just say a few words about Agent Orange, because Andre was telling us a little bit more about that. So this one apparently is a double fermented pale ale, and he was saying that in the second fermentation he put a bunch of orange juice into it. So that's probably what made it so kind of creamy and so sort of adjuncty leaning. But yeah, that was a very, very nice beer, and that's the one we've just reviewed, of course. But yeah, there's a little look at the taps for you there, and we'll get back to it. So lovely artwork again at Parabolic Lazarus Brewery. Alright guys, well, time for beer number 2 then here at Parabolic Lazarus. So yeah, this one was the one I was actually going to do first. But Andre, who is the owner and brewer and was behind the bar at the time, he told me to wait for this one because he was going to change the batch over. So yeah, beer number 2 comes in at 5.5% ABV. It's a session IPA, and from what he tells me, this one is called Man-Eater. But they've done several batches of Man-Eater, so we have to say that this one is the 9th of July 2026 batch of Man-Eater, because it's just freshly gone on. So yeah, the original Man-Eater I think is a West Coast IPA. I think it said 7.5% ABV on the little bar tap thing. But yeah, they've gone through several iterations of this beer, and this is the latest batch. And he told me that this is a session version of that original beer. So yeah, when the beer came out, it had a nice finger of a frothy, perfect white head on it. Again, it's a bit hard to see the colour of this one just because of the lighting in here, but it looks like a kind of dark sort of mixed tropical fruit juice colour. 1 or 2 big bubbles sticking toward the side of the glass there, a few just coming up toward the head, and you can see again this one is pretty opaque because of the oat and the wheat content in there. So yeah, the original Man-Eater, as I said, it says on the kind of tap that it's a West Coast IPA, but quite obviously this one is New England, it's hazy. So yeah, I don't think we need to say anything else about the appearance of this one. We actually went through all that in the Agent Orange section. So let's just jump on and have a look at the aroma of this one and see what it's all about. Right, okay. So straight away, this one to me comes across as being a little bit more like wheaty leaning. Usually with a session IPA, a lot of brewers will put a bit more wheat into the beer, and that I find always gives it a little bit more bite. So straight away with this one, I notice it's a bit more wheat. And it's just got that little bit more of a zip to it, but at the same time you've got that lovely soft white bready character in there. So with this one, I'd definitely say there is an oaty presence to it, but more barley malt, more wheaty leaning. It's got a nice tropical fruity note to it, quite soft tropical fruit, bright green component as well. And yeah, it basically gives you everything you'd want from a New England, basically gives you everything you would want from a kind of New England IPA, paleo sort of thing. So remember, paleos, IPAs, double IPAs and barley wines, these beers are part of the same family and they're all related to each other through their hop to malt ratios. When it comes to the session IPA, what I believe they usually do with those is they take the IPA hop to malt ratio and they just take the maltiness down a little bit so that it comes in about 5%-ish, and that's what makes it a session IPA rather than a paleo. So yeah, this one though, as I say, it gives you everything you want from the style. Nice juicy fruits, bready backbone, bright green component, but let's be a bit more detailed. So the backbone of this beer, you've got fresh white bready bread crust in there, wee tiny little bit of woody character, Jacob's cream cracker, and those three elements do give you a little bit of that dryness into the nose as well. There's some wholemeal brown bread in there, not too much, right enough, and the brown bready character that's in this is a little bit sweeter. And then on top of that, fluffy fresh white bready character again. Smells a little bit denser and sweeter further forward, a little bit drier further back. There's the wheaty white bread in this one, as I say, and that's a lot more dense, but it's really smooth and it's got that little bit of bitiness further back in the nose. As I say, you notice with this one right away, there's a bit more wheaty presence to it. And then I'm noticing too that the more I smell of this beer, the more the oats come out. So yeah, there's a lovely sort of oaty creaminess to this one. And again, you can tell it's quite fresh. Oats are always quite an interesting indicator in your New England IPAs because they tell you how fresh your beer is. Essentially, the creamier the oat smell and taste, the fresher the beer is going to be. And yeah, the older it is, the drier the oats are going to be. So with this one, it's very, very oaty and creamy. But like I say, this is a more wheaty and barley malt leaning New England. But you do get a little touch of oaty dryness out of it, and there's also a wee touch of that typical like Werther's Original butter candy butterscotch. I think Golden Promise. I do think there's Golden Promise in this, as there was with the Agent Orange. So yeah. With this one, yeah, malty base is really nice. You get a little bit more wheatiness in the back of the nose, of course, as you often do. Yeasty side of the beer for me, at its core, a little bit more buttery, like a little bit more of a buttery wholemeal brown bread. Again, as you move further out, there's a more airy, fluffy white bread in there. Then the edge of your yeasty character is quite bread crusty and like a more dense, like wheaty white bread. So yeah, malt base in this one it comes across as quite smooth. The yeastiness comes across as being very fresh and white bready, but a little bit drier. Yeah, so hoppy side of this one. Andre did actually tell me what hop varieties were in this one, but I forgot. But he did say New Zealand hops, so yeah, I can remember that. But yeah, the green component on this one, tiny little bit earthy. Again, a wee bit woody and herbal. The fact that I'm getting that, but he's told me it's New Zealand hops, that makes me wonder, maybe he's using a house yeast that gives you a bit more earthy woodiness. But yeah, you do get a nice little bit of floral aromaticity in there, some grassiness as well, and yeah, the green component gives you everything you want. It does smell quite smooth, and it's got a little, yeah, it has got a wee touch of dankness to it. But yeah, I like that. On the fruity side of the beer then, for me, I do get juicy mango out of this one. Maybe a little bit of peach. So wee bit of peach, wee bit of mango, passion fruit, some apricot, but yeah, mostly mango and passion fruit I think in this one. And then further forward on the nose, there's like a wee tiny touch of lime in there. And maybe a little bit of orange, but this is more tropical. This is definitely more tropical than citrusy. I think that's fair to say. Getting a bit of cramp in my hand there holding it. But yeah, aroma-wise, it smells really nice. As I say, a more wheaty and barley malty in New England, and more tropical as well than the Agent Orange was. But yeah, let's have a taste of this one then and see what it's all about. So yeah, this one is called Man-Eater, 5.5% ABV. It's a session version apparently of the original Man-Eater, which was a West Coast IPA. So let's have a look at this one. Sláinte, skål, cheers, Eze, Sége, yeah. Again, still can't pronounce it in Hungarian. There we go. Okay. Right. So this one for me, again, you get this little bit, because it's a brew pub beer. It's definitely got this little bit of like yeastiness and rawness to it, which I always like this when you come to little brew pubs and you get that in it. So it does have that wee bit of kind of raw yeastiness going on, and it gives you that wee bit of dryness into the aftertaste. But yeah, this one, it's nowhere near as thick as Agent Orange was. It's quite a soft, quite smooth beer, this one as well, and just very nice and easy to drink, which is pretty much what you want from a session IPA. But let's break the flavour down and describe it more in depth again. So middle third of your palate then. The backbone of the beer, again, fresh white ready bread crust in there. Further forward, little touch of woodiness as I very often get. Some Jacob's cream cracker on top of that. Then you've got the more wholemeal brown bready character coming out of the beer. So again, it's a little bit denser further forward, a wee bit drier further back. And yeah, those four elements do give you that little bit of dryness into the aftertaste. But like I say, this one's very, very smooth. On top of that, and well, it's also very fresh as well. So on top of that, you've got a lovely, smooth, fluffy white bready character. Again, denser further forward, a wee bit drier further back. Then you get more of the wheaty white bready character in there, which is very, very smooth actually. Particularly further forward, and further back, it gives you, it's a bit more dry rather than being bitey. I think that's a good way to describe it. And another thing I'll say about this, from the flavour, there's less oats in the flavour of this one than I thought there would be from the aroma, but down the middle line of your palate, you do get a little bit of that nice kind of creamy, oaty sort of thing out of this one. So yeah, you've got that little bit of creamy oaty sort of thing, and then as you move out toward the edge of your palate there, it's got a nice little bit of dryness to it as well, and that kind of lingers into the aftertaste. So yeah, in the middle of your palate, there's a teeny little circle there where you've got some lovely like Werther's Original butter candy butterscotch, and a wee bit of a McVitie's digestive biscuity kind of note to it. And yeah, the way that goes together, I think, is really, really nice. So yeah, the malt base on this one, yeah, definitely a little bit drier, but quite smooth. And yeah, it does give you a bit more wheaty bitiness into the aftertaste. So on the back third of your palate, again, you've got all those bready layers that we talked about earlier. They feel a little bit lighter, taller, more airy and dry. Then above that, you get the yeasty side of the beer. So at its core, it's got a bit more of a, it's actually a bit more of a grainy wholemeal brown bread that's at the core of the yeast. Then as you move further out from that, a slightly more dry and airy, fluffy white bread. Then yeah, the very edge of your yeasty character, there's a more dense wheaty white bread, and it gives you a bit of a sort of crackery and bread crusty edge. So the malt base in this one's quite smooth, but yeah, the yeasty character's got a little bit more dryness to it, as I was thinking. it would have based on the aromas. But yeah, back third of your palate, flavour is taller. Then as you move further forward into the middle third of your tongue, it just kind of compresses down and squashes together that little bit more. So yeah, malty base of this one, really quite nice. And as I suspected, it would be more wheaty and more barley malt leaning. Let's go to the hoppy part of the beer. So yeah, back corners of your palate, there's a nice little bit of earthiness in there. Then as you move further forward, so yeah, a little bit of earthiness in there. As you move further forward, a wee bit more woody and herbal again. Then yeah, as you push further and further forward, there's some floral aromaticity there. It does have a wee bit of a spicy floral aromaticity to it, this one. Then round the front curve of your palate, it's definitely a little bit more lighter and grassy, and it's a little bit leafy in that sense as well. So I do like how that pieces together in this one. So yeah, it's nice. It's actually nice how that goes together. Yeah, so on the front third of your palate, then the fruity side of things, so the base of that front third of your palate is all those bready layers that we talked about: white bready bread crust, Jacob's cream cracker, wholemeal brown bread, fluffy white bread, denser wheaty white bread, and a bit of oatiness. Then on top of that, you get that nice oily bubble where the juicy fruity esters roll their way out of the beer. So let's have a little look at that. So yeah, fruity side of the beer, definitely more tropical lean in this one. Like further back, there's a little bit, it's quite tropical. There's peach on top, big juicy mangoes, softer passion fruit underneath. Then as you move further forward, there's a little bit more apricot. And yeah, further forward from that, you have a really nice, further forward from that, you do get a little bit of an almost limey character out of this one. So yeah, not so much in the way of not so much in the way of orange in this one. I think I've maybe still got a bit of orange from the Agent Orange on my palate actually. But yeah, there's some peach, mango, passion fruit, apricot further forward, and a good wee bit of lime with this one. So quite tropical leaning, but there is a bit of citrusy character into the aftertaste. So yeah, quite nice. Mouthfeel wise then, this one for me is mid-bodied. It's right in the middle of the spectrum. Carbonation's very smooth. It's got an almost silky mouthfeel to it, this beer. I think your IBU is maybe about 30, which is kind of standard for the New Englands. It's got about 30 IBUs to it. Malt base is drier underneath, smoother in the middle, slightly sweeter on top, and yeah, you've got that nice juicy, slightly tropical fruit note to it. So yeah, definitely a different type of beer, if you like, from the Agent Orange that we tried in the last one. But yeah, I think we've said everything we need about this one. So if you want a more kind of standard New England hazy IPA, then yeah, perhaps the Man-Eater is the one for you. But like I say, this one seems to be changed quite a lot. So yeah, this is the July 9th, 2026 batch of the Man-Eater, which is a session version of that particular beer apparently. But let's leave it at that for this one, and we'll see what comes up next. I'll catch you guys in just a second. Cheers. Alright guys, well they do actually have a food menu here at Parabolic Lazarus. So let's take a little look at that. When you open it up, if I can get it open with one hand, there we go. The first pages are basically all beers and shots and drinks, but if you turn it over, you do get some of the food. So for appetizers and things, you can get a Caesar salad with chicken, the Parabolic cold platter, which is different cheeses and hams and stuff like this. You can get your French fries, calamari rings, some beer snacks and things like that. And over here you can get a few main courses. So yeah, you can get some different grilled sausages and pickles, Siberian dumplings, grilled chicken tortilla as well. And yeah, that's it. Quite a straightforward menu, but yeah, as I say, it is a brew pub. These are kind of intended as different beer snacks, but yeah, I think it does seem quite nice. They've got a good selection of different drinks there as well, for those that come along that aren't you know, particularly beer lovers. But there's a very quick look at the menu for you here at Parabolic Lazarus Brewery. Alright guys, well, time for beer number 3 then here at Parabolic Lazarus. So yeah, for this one we are going to try something a little bit more fruity. So this one is called Pink Parabola. It comes in at 5% ABV, and this one is our raspberry wheat beer. So yeah, let's see how this one turns out. So yeah, when it was poured, it came out with about 1.5 fingers of a frothy, kind of pink tinted white head. Again, I think you guys can't see the colour all that well with this one just because of the lighting in here, but it's one of these sort of like, you know, candy apple red sort of colours. So yeah, you can see the head on this one. Yeah, nice medium-sized bubbles on the surface there. The beer is pretty opaque, as you'd expect from a wheat beer, and of course the raspberries in here will be giving you a little bit of that opacity as well. But yeah, with this one being a fruit kind of adjunct beer, I guess we can call it, yeah, the colour in this one will definitely be down to the raspberries. So we've had many kind of fruited wheat beers on the channel before. The colour of this one is no surprise. The appearance is exactly what we'd expect. I don't think we need to say too much more about that. Let's go on and have a little look at the aroma of this one then. Oh yeah, I mean, straight away it gives you everything that you'd want from this style. So yeah, I mean, it smells really nice actually. As I've mentioned in many videos on the channel before, a lot of Scottish desserts are based on raspberries. So I do enjoy a bit of raspberry. The raspberries in this one come across as being quite soft and quite juicy. Scottish raspberries are very, very, very tart. I've never come across raspberries quite as tart as that. The closest thing I've come across is Swedish cloudberries, to be honest with you. But yeah, the aroma of this one is very, very nice actually. So yeah, it gives you everything you want. Nice bready backbone, juicy raspberries, wee bit of green component. Let's break it down and be more detailed and go a bit more in depth. So yeah, the backbone of this beer, you've got a lovely kind of fresh white bready bread crust in there. Again, tiny little bit of woodiness. I do get quite a little bit of cracker out of this beer as well. So yeah, that's really nice. Then on top of that, fluffy fresh white bready character from the barley malt. Little bit of woodiness mixing in with that as well. But yeah, the white bready character on this one's really quite airy in fact. And then you can smell the more dense wheaty white bready character in there as well. So again, definitely smoother further forward, a little bit bitier further back in the nose. The thing I'm noticing about this one in the malt base is that it has nowhere near the same level of sweetness that the two IPAs had, and you'd kind of expect that, to be honest with you. The bready backbone in here is a lot more kind of straight up and white bready. So yeah, that's definitely quite interesting with this one. So yeah, it's malty backbone's pretty straightforward, to be honest with you. The yeasty side of the beer at the back of the nose, at its core, it's got a lovely little bit of there is a little touch of that buttery bready character there, so buttery white bread. As you move further out from that, again, a more airy, fluffy, fresh white bread. And then yeah, you get a lovely kind of white bready bread crust just around the edge of that. So again, the yeasty character in this one is adding a little bit more dryness to your beer. So yeah, malt based is very, very smooth. The yeasty side of the beer is just that little touch drier. But again, you'd kind of expect that. And yeah, the thing that's interesting though, if this is a sort of Hefeweizen based beer, I think this one, or even a wit beer if you think about it, usually there's a little bit more kind of banana and clovey character, but actually the malt base in this one comes across as being very, very clean and straight up white bready. So yeah, for me that's a really interesting point to make about this beer. It's very crisp, it's almost very crisp and very clean and smooth. So yeah, I like that about this one actually. Goes together very, very nicely. Yeah, hoppy side of the beer then. Again, you're getting this effect where the fruity adjunct really pushes back against the... yeah, you're getting this little bit of kind of fruity adjunct that pushes back against the green component. So there's a little bit of earthiness from the hops in there, wee bit of a woody, herbally note, floral aromaticity, And yeah, some really nice grassiness in there. So it comes across as being quite noble, you know, like Hallertau, Tecknang type hops. Yeah, I do really like how that goes together. But yeah, the raspberry really pushes back against that. The raspberry's a little bit tartar further forward on the nose and a bit juicier further back. And then yeah, on top of that, you know, on top of the fruitiness, there's a little bit of this kind of, there's a little bit of like, you know, what's the word? Placebo, that's it. There's a little bit of this kind of candied strawberry placebo effect with this one. So yeah, candied strawberry placebo, maybe a little touch of fig, but of course it's overwhelmingly raspberry. So yeah, aroma-wise, this one there's quite a lot. It's quite a bit more straightforward than the other two were, but yeah, I think aroma-wise it smells very nice, and yeah, as Andre was saying, it's a very nice summer beer, this one, by the smell of it. So take a bit of time to enjoy the aroma, but I think we should get stuck into this one now. So yeah, this is Pink Parabola, 5% ABV, a raspberry wheat beer. Is Jaeger. I still can't pronounce it. Slanja and Skol, guys. There we go. That's really nice, actually. You know, honestly, the two IPAs were nice, but I don't know, this one strikes me a bit more. I think this is potentially the pick of the beers so far. I really like this. And I think it's, I don't know, this one to me just feels a bit more refined. And again, it's just really nice and easy to drink. There's something a bit more striking about this beer than there was about the other two, actually. So this might well be the pick of the beers so far. So I'm going to say a big thumbs up, actually. And it's a bit surprising for me to say that about a fruited wheat beer. I don't drink these that often, but this is seriously well done, this one. I really like this, actually. So if you get the chance to try Pink Parabola, I think you'll enjoy this. And you know, the base of this is done really nicely, so with them being a brew pub, there's probably quite a bit of room to experiment with this. Use the base and put different fruits in there. Orange parabola, apple parabola, you know, things like this. I think this is really very nicely done. But yeah, anyway, let's break it down. Middle third of your palate, the backbone of this beer. Lovely fresh white bready bread crust in there. Further forward, of course, you get that little touch of woodiness. There's some Jacob's cream cracker in there. Yeah, that's really nice. So yeah, fresh white bready bread crust, little bit of wood, Jacob's cream cracker, tiny little bit of a wholemeal brown bready note. Again, sweeter further forward, a little bit more grainy further back. You've got the fluffy fresh white bready character in there from the barley malt as well, which I really do like. Again, denser further forward, drier further back. Then you get the nice wheaty character out of this one. The wheat malt in this beer, incidentally, is very smooth, which I do really like. Yeah, wheatiness on this one's really nice. I mean, I would have expected a little bit more kind of banana bready character out of this beer normally. But again, maybe that's the thing that's a bit striking about this one, is that it's so clean and so smooth. But I like it. And maybe in the dead centre of your palate, there's a tiny little circle there where there's a teeny wee bit of that Werther's original butter candy, butterscotch sort of flavour, and a tiny little bit of McVitie's digestive biscuit. But as I say, the malt base in this one is very smooth, very white bready, and I do really like that. So yeah, malty backbone of this beer is seriously nicely done. This is the most striking of the three beers we've had so far, in fact. So yeah. The back third of your palate's got all those bready layers that we just talked about there, but you know, the bread crust and the cracker are a bit drier. The brown bread, the white bread, and the kind of wheaty white bready character feel a little bit lighter, drier, more airy. The wheaty character's got a little bit more bitiness to it. Then above everything else, you've got the yeasty part of the beer. So let's look at that. So yeah, yeasty side of the beer. Core of it, it's got a little bit more of a grainy wholemeal brown bready character, As you move further out from that, a fluffier white bready note. The edge of the yeasty character is a little bit more like dense white bread, and the very edge of it is a little bit crackery and a little bit more bread crusty. And again, back third of your palate, the flavour is taller. Then as you move further forward into the middle third of your palate, it kind of compresses down. And pardon me, a little bit gas there. But yeah, as you move into the middle third of your palate, it kind of compresses down and squashes together that little bit more. But yeah, green component of the beer. Quite noble, this one, probably German Hallertau or Tettnang in this one. It feels very noble. In the back corners of your palate, there's a little bit of smooth earthiness there. As you move further forward, a wee bit more woody and herbal. Then yeah, pushing further and further forward. Some nice floral aromaticity. Wee touch spicy, of course. You know, makes me wonder about Czech Zatz hops in there. And then yeah, round the front curve of your tongue, it's definitely a little bit lighter and more sort of grassy, if you like. So yeah, the way the hoppy character in this one goes together is really, really nice. But you can feel the raspberry pushing back against that. It's quite juicy on the sides of your palate and just a little bit more tart around the kind of front curve of your tongue. So yeah. So yeah, that does go together really nicely. Front third of your palate, you've got all the bready characters that we were talking about earlier. The white bready bread crust, the cracker, wholemeal brown bread, fluffy white bread, the wheaty side of things, which is very, very smooth further forward. On top of that, you get that nice oily bubble where the fruity, juicy esters roll their way out of the beer. For me, you get a bit of kind of candied strawberry out of that, maybe a very slight figgy note, and then yeah, the raspberry comes in on top of that. And the raspberry, I think it does give you a very slight sourness into the aftertaste, but for the most part, the raspberry is really nice and very, very juicy, actually. And yeah, as I say, as a Scot, a lot of our desserts are based on raspberry, like Kranaken and stuff like this. But yeah, I think this does go together very, very nicely. It's a lovely wheat beer, this one, and as I say, potentially the most striking of the three beers that I've done so far. So yeah, I think this one does get a big thumbs up from me. Let's round off with the mouthfeel then. So yeah, for me, this one's maybe kind of bottom end of mid-bodied. Carbonation feels a little bit crisper in this one, which is quite interesting. It does feel a little bit kind of cleaner than the other beers, maybe a little bit drier as well. The IBU count in this one, I feel this one's got a little bit more bitterness to it, like maybe 25-ish IBUs. And I don't know if that's necessarily just from the hops, but I do get a little bit of floral aromaticity of this one. Maybe it's very, very fresh. I don't know. But the malt base is drier underneath, smoother in the middle, and again quite smooth on top with just a tiny little bit of sweetness. Then yeah, you've got the juicy fruitiness in there, both from the hops and from the adjunct. And as I say, there's a tiny little bit of sourness to it, but overall it is really quite juicy. But this, I think, is potentially my favourite of the three beers that I've tried so far. So yeah, this was the Pink Parabola, a 5% raspberry wheat beer. So yeah, definitely recommend trying this one. And if Parabolic Lazarus do kind of do more beers like this, I would say, you know, do use it with different fruits. There's a very, very solid like wheat beer base in there. So just experiment with different fruits and keep going with this, because that's a lovely, lovely beer. And as I say, the most striking of the three that I've had so far. But let's leave it at that for this one, and we'll go on to something else in just a wee second. Cheers. Alright guys, so yeah, decided to go for the Siberian dumplings because it just struck me as a little bit unusual, and Andre told me that this is his family's recipe, so that kind of sold it for me because I was curious about the Hungarian sausage as well, but we can get that somewhere else. Let's have a little look at these Siberian dumplings and see what they're all about. They're beef and pork from what I understand, and they smell very, very nice, so let's see what they're all about. Alright guys, so from what Andre was telling me, these Siberian dumplings, it's his mother-in-law's recipe and she's from the middle of Siberia, so it's a 50-50 mix of beef and pork, and then it looks as if it's just kind of mixed in salt and pepper. So yeah, we'll try one kind of on its own, and then we'll try one with the sauce and just see how it goes. So yeah, oh, I'll try not to drop it off the fork. Yeah, there we go. So as you can see, I've kind of split this one open a little bit. You can see the meat inside looks really nice. I think these are boiled rather than fried actually as well, and then just seasoned in the bowl. But they smell great actually. Let's just have a taste of this on its own and see what it's like. Oh, okay, right. So the meat is, yeah, it's a bit like burger meat, to be honest with you. I actually feel like, for me, taste-wise, it feels a little bit more beefy than it does porky. And then yeah, you get the salt and the pepper just into the aftertaste, which is really nice. There's another one sitting on the top here that has a little bit more seasoning on it, so let's try this one as well and just see if that's consistent. Okay. Yeah, for me, I think it is, as I say, it's 50% beef, 50% pork, but I don't know, for me, the beef flavour feels a little bit more prominent, and you get more of the pepper into this one as well, and I think the pork comes out more into the aftertaste. So yeah, up front it's more about the beef, into the aftertaste it's more about the pork, and then yeah, it's got a little bit more of the it's got a little bit more of the kind of pepper, I would say, as well. So yeah, okay, let's try a little bit of it with the sauce. Well, maybe we can try the sauce on its own actually. So yeah, this is the kind of sour cream sauce. Okay, yeah, not overly familiar with it, but it's nice enough. Let's try a kind of fairly unseasoned dumpling with the sour cream sauce. We'll kind of dip it in. Here we go. Yeah, it's quite nice. I mean, sourness of the cream and the saltiness of the kind of meat comes out a little bit later on. So yeah, it's kind of sour up front, saltier later on. Let's try it with a slightly more seasoned dumpling as well. So we'll put the sauce on the bottom. Well, as I say, sauce, the sour cream, I guess is the right word for it. Let's try it with the slightly more seasoned one. Oh yeah, I think with a little bit more seasoning, the flavour feels really nice and really balanced, but very nice dumplings. As I say, for me, it feels that they're a little bit more beefy, but the pork comes out more into the aftertaste, as does the black pepper. So yeah, salty and beefy up front, porky and black peppery into the aftertaste, and the sour cream just adds a nice balance to it. So yeah, I really like how this goes together. It gets a thumbs up from me. Yeah, wouldn't hesitate to try this again. I really like that. So yeah, Siberian dumplings. This is definitely worth trying, and Andrei cooked these himself. So yeah, if you can get Andrei to cook them, I'm sure they'll be pretty good. Catch you guys in just a sec. Alright guys, well, time for our fourth and final tasting then here at Parabolic Lazarus Brewery in Budapest in Hungary. So yeah, as we always do in the videos, for the last one we are going to go to the dark end of the beer spectrum, and thankfully they've got a stout on tap. So this beer is called Phantom of the Opera, comes in at 7.5% ABV, so it's kind of getting into sort of export stout territory, I guess you could say. So yeah, comes out at 7.5% ABV. Andrei told me that this one is 10% wheat malt, 10% smoked malt, and it also contains some hibiscus. So yeah, as you can see, it looks pretty much as you would expect a stout to. So when it came out, you had about a half finger of a frothy, kind of medium tan head there. You've got a lovely sort of ebony rosewood kind of colour to this one. Again, that's all down to the types of malt that's used in here. It looks very, very nice. There's not too much in the way of visible carbonation with this beer. One or two big bubbles sticking toward the side of the glass, and a few little ones just kind of coming up towards the surface of the head there. And you can see the head has faded away to be a thinner foamy layer, but when there's wheat in the beer, that's going to help the head retention quite a little bit actually. But yeah, if I hold this one up to the light, there's not much in the way of like transparency to this beer. Again, with the wheat malt being in there, that's going to make it a little bit kind of naturally hazy, so it's going to be quite opaque. But yeah, appearance-wise, there's nothing really surprising about this beer when you consider what style it is. It looks the part, so I don't think we need to say anything more about the appearance of this one. When it comes to stouts, of course, you have your regular stouts, which are about 5% ABV. The stout, of course, is a more English style of beer. You've got Irish dry stouts, of course. This one is categorized as a milk stout, which means it has some lactose in it, so that's going to make it a little bit more kind of creamy and smooth in the mouthfeel. And as I said earlier, with it being about 7.5% ABV, it's going to be more of a kind of export stout strength. Yeah, sort of 7 to 9% ABV is roughly your export stout strength, and then 10% and above is your imperial stout strength, I guess. So yeah, looks really nice, as we said. Let's have a wee look at the nose on this one then and just see what it's got. So aroma wise, it actually, as you'd expect from a milk stout, it leans toward that sweeter side of things. I mean, I will say straight away, I don't get much of the hibiscus out of this one. And it's actually, I find this one, it's got a nice sort of rye bready backbone, toasty brown sugars in there. It is actually quite a brown sugary leaning kind of stout, this beer. And as I say, the hibiscus doesn't come out all that much in this one aroma wise. At least we'll need to see how it is in the flavour, if you like. But yeah, it goes together really, really nicely in its aroma. So let's just break it down then. The backbone of this beer, pardon me, you've got a lovely sort of roasty, toasty, slightly well-fired bread crust in there. Not too aggressive, right enough. It is actually just quite smooth. There's a little bit of woody character in there, some crackery notes on top of that, and then yeah, you do get a little bit of that smoky malt out of this one. So it's kind of like German Rauch malt, if you like. So you know, I'm thinking like Weiermann from Bamberg in Franconia. It's got a little bit of that kind of more meaty type smoke to it. So yeah, you can smell a little bit of that in there. So say Weiermann Rauch malts, very distinctive. I do smell a bit of that in there. And as I say, Andre told me there was 10% of that. But yeah, the Rauch malt, above the kind of crackery layer that this beer has, you do get some sort of rye bready notes out of this one, and again, it's sweeter and oily further forward on the nose, a little bit drier further back. Above that, you get a more wholemeal brown bready sort of note out of the beer, a little bit like German pumpernickel bread. So definitely some of that in there. The smoky character feels as if it's kind of embedded in that rye bready and brown bready layer. And then on top of that, you start to get the brown sugar. So there's a sort of toasty brown sugar, a slightly more leathery brown sugar in there, and then there's a more kind of chocolatey note to this one. So the chocolatey side of this beer for me, there is a bit more of a milky chocolate note to this one, you know, like 30-40% cocoa chocolate, and maybe further back on the nose it's like 50-60% cocoa chocolate, but for the most part the chocolatey side of this beer that comes out is more milky and more on the sweet side of things. And of course the lactose being in here is going to do that. There's little hints of like vanilla further forward in the top of the nose as well, and there's a sort of, there's a little bit of sweet caramel, but mostly it's like a slightly drier fudge and kind of sweet digestive biscuit that's in there. The hibiscus, I think if Andre hadn't told me that was in there, I wouldn't have guessed there was hibiscus in this one. I think that like the hibiscus note that's in there is very, very subtle, and I wouldn't have picked that up myself for sure. But it's quite, as I say, for me it's quite smooth and chocolatey, bit of toasty brown sugar, wee bit of like, yeah, rye bread, and the smokiness just comes out of there really nicely as well. A little bit of nuttiness too, a bit of walnut, hazelnut, almond, that kind of thing coming out of this beer. So yeah, the malty base in this one is really nicely done, and for it being 7.5%, it's got quite a little bit of complexity to it. So yeah, like, yeah, I think that's all we need to say about the malty side of the beer. Yeasty side of this one, at its core, you get an oily sort of rye bread out of it, and there's a wee bit of a more wholemeal brown bread maybe a little bit of toasty bread crust and things like that as well. So yeah, oily rye bread, toasty brown bread in there, then yeah, a wee bit of like bread crust on the edge. So yeah, malty yeasty side of this beer I think goes together really nicely. So malt base in this one, quite sweet but quite a dry sweetness. The yeasty side is a little bit drier. On the hoppy side of things then, it's a little bit more, there's a little bit of earthiness in there. And remember, stouts are not the most hop forward of styles. So yeah, you get a little bit of earthiness to it. There's a little bit of a woody, there's a little bit of a woody herbally sort of thing. Some nice floral notes, a bit of grassiness, and yeah, the way the green component goes together in this beer is really nice. Probably a little bit of Williamette or a bit of Galena or something like that in here. On the fruity side of the beer, for me, a little bit of an oily figgy sort of note. So yeah, there's some oily figgy notes in there, little bit of black currant, maybe a wee bit of sharper blackberry. Yeah, it goes together really nicely. So yeah, figs, black currants mostly for me, just a little bit of blackberry. So yeah, the way that all of that pieces together is really nice. Aroma wise, very nice smelling beer. Let's have a taste of this one then and see what it's all about. So yeah, this is the Phantom of the Opera, a 7.5% milk stout with 10% wheat malt, 10% smoked malt, I guess German Rauch malt, and also a little bit of hibiscus to it. So here we are. Let's have a taste. Slange, Skål, Jäger, yeah, however you pronounce that. Cheers, and thank you to Andre for, pardon me, looking after me in this video. There we go. Oh, okay. Right. So this beer is a little bit sharper up front, which I'm not sure it should be, but it has got a wee bit of sharpness up front, but into the aftertaste it becomes very smooth and very silky actually. And that's when you start to get the rye bread, the chocolate, the smokiness, the brown sugar, all the things that you should get from the stout. Yeah, that's pretty nice. I do get more of the hibiscus out of this one into the aftertaste as well. It's it does go together really nicely. Yeah, where do we start with this one then? Again, we'll go to middle third of your palate, the backbone of this beer. Lovely roasty, toasty, well-fired bread crust in there. Not too aggressive. Further forward, it's got a wee bit more of a woody character to it. Then you've got a nice sort of Swedish, Danish knäckebrödy cracker as well. So yeah, roasty, toasty, well-fired bread crust, bit of woodiness, Swedish, Danish knäckebröd. Then on top of that, you get more of the, you get a little bit more of the, how do you say, the kind of rye bready character. So again, further forward on the palate it's a bit more dense and a bit more oily. Further back it's a little bit drier. Then you get the more wholemeal brown bready character above that, which is mostly quite dry actually. And I can feel some of the smokiness. I can feel some of the smokiness really embedded into that actually. So yeah, the way that that goes together in this one is for me quite interesting. But above the wholemeal brown bread, there's maybe a little bit of a kind of slightly chocolate sponge cakey layer, so it's a wee bit denser further forward, again a wee bit drier further back. The next layer up you've got the chocolatey notes, so further forward it's maybe like 40-50% cocoa chocolate, a little bit more kind of milky, and yeah, further back it's got a wee bit more of a kind of slightly toasty cocoa nibby kind of character. So yeah, on top of that, some toasty brown sugar, some leathery brown sugar, and I think there's a wee bit of vanilla comes out of this into the aftertaste, and probably that's because of the lactose that's in here. It is a milk stout, as we said earlier. In the dead centre of your palate, there's a little circle there, a wee bit of sweet caramel. As you move further out from that, it's a little bit more fudgy, and there's a wee bit more of a kind of biscuity note to this one. Again, the hibiscus, if Andre hadn't told me that was in here, I wouldn't guess. You do get a little bit of a more floral, there is a wee bit of a floral character to it, But again, if I was tasting this, I don't think I would guess hibiscus, to be honest with you. But you do feel that little bit of kind of floral dryness into the aftertaste. So yeah, that's the middle third of your palate in this one. The only other thing I would add is there's a bit of nuttiness there. Pecan, almond, walnut, something like that. And that lingers there. The back third of your palate, you've got all those bready layers that we just talked about. A bit more of the toastiness and dryness from the brown sugar. The yeasty side of the beer. Yeah, the yeasty side of the beer at its core, it's got a little bit of a kind of Scottish English Christmas pudding sort of note to it, that phenolic-y, highly caramelised plum puddingy sort of thing. As you move further out, a bit more oily rye bread, drier wholemeal brown bread, and then a toasty bread crust. So malt base in this one's very, very smooth, toasty, but really dry, really sort of dry, really sort of dry, kind of yeasty notes out of this one. So yeah, it's actually, it's quite dry and sweet, but yeah, the yeasty character does make it a little bit more roasty, toasty. So it's kind of got an RIS, Russian Imperial Stout quality, but it does also have more of a milk stouty kind of note to it as well, which is quite nice. On the hoppy side of things, back corners of the palate, it's a little bit more sort of earthy. As you move further forward, a wee bit more herbally and woody, coming further forward, a little bit floral, then round the front curve of your tongue, it's a little bit lighter and more sort of grassy. So yeah, the way that goes together is really, really nice in this one. But yeah, let's look at the front third of your palate and the fruity side of things. So the base of your front third of your palate, it's all those bready layers we talked about earlier. The toasty bread crust, the Swedish-Danish knäckebröd, the rye bread, the wholemeal brown bread, toasty brown sugar, leathery brown sugar, a little bit of chocolate there. Then you get that nice oily bubble where the juicy fruity esters roll their way out of the beer. So the fruity side of the beer for me, yeah, the fruity side of this one for me, I will say, I think this beer is very, very slightly oxidized because it does have a little bit of sharpness to it. So yeah, maybe that's something in the line or something like that. But yeah, into the aftertaste, you do get a little bit of the oily figgy character out of this one. Quite a lot of black currant, blackberry as well. Yeah, it does give you, yeah, you've got the, I don't know if I want to say, there's maybe a little bit of plum further back, fig, black currant and blackberry on top. You do get a little bit of the sharpness of the blackberry with this one. So yeah, there is a wee bit of fruity sharpness out of this beer into the aftertaste as well. But yeah, mouthfeel wise, yeah, for me, I'd say this one, it's kind of mid-bodied, pushing the top end of mid-bodied, smooth carbonation. It comes across as being really quite clean. Maybe nitro conditioning for this one would be really good because it would just smoothen it out and make it that little touch drier. I think that could really work very well with this beer. Your IBU count in this one, there's some roastiness from the malt base, there's a bit of bitterness from the hops, maybe 50, 60 IBUs in this one. I think 50s seems a bit more likely to me. Malt base is roasty and toasty underneath, smoother in the middle, dry and sweet on top, and yeah, you've just got a little bit of fruitiness coming out of this one. As I say, I think there's a very slight oxidation on this beer, maybe because of the line or something, and that just gives it that wee bit more sharpness. But yeah, all in all, quite an interesting beer, this one, and I think this is a nice place to end our tasting. So yeah, this one was the Phantom of the Opera, 7.5% milk stout, 10% smoked malt, 10% wheat malt, and a little bit of hibiscus. So that's that, our fourth and final tasting then here at Parabolic Lazarus. Catch you guys in just a second. Alright guys, so yeah, if you come to Parabolic Lazarus, you'll get to meet Andre, who is the brewer and owner, and then Anna will be behind the bar as well. So yeah, we've been well looked after when we've been here. So yeah, I'll go outside and give you guys my final thoughts then in just a second, but make sure you say hello to Andre and to Anna if you come here. Catch you guys in a second. Cheers. Alright guys, so Andre brought me into the brewery to have a little bit of a walk around, and he wanted to show me something straight out the tank. So yeah.
It's absolutely fresh and good.
Oh, what is this one? Which beer is it?
Is it the Nectar on Leave It To Me?
Oh,
It's
okay.
gold on Untappd 2025. We decided to repeat it.
Ah, okay. So this is a beer, a rebrew.
Yeah.
A rebrew.
Check it out. Check it out.
Okay. Oh, so we should I should taste it. Okay. Let's up. We can have a look. Okay. We can have a little look then. Let's see.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Nice raw, straightforward beer. That it was good. That's awesome. Yeah. What is it, like a hazy IPA, kind of pale ale?
It will be some West Coast IPA in the future because it's not dry hop right now.
I see. Right. So this we're just basically trying
It's good base for beer for something.
So we're trying the wort with a little bit of hop in it.
The main of the base will be.
Okay.
Leave it to me.
Yeah, it'll be quite nice. Yeah, leave it to Andre. Leave it to Andre. There we go.
Usually we use leaves of the hops for dry hopping of the Nectaron.
Oh yeah. Nectaron's an awesome hop to work with. But yeah, guys, as you can see, it's a very small setup. You've got your mash tun over here. You've got basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6 tanks here. 6,000 litres fermentation capacity. Properly little tiny brew pub setup. So you're trying some properly unique beers when you come here, eh? So there we go. Right, so we got a nice little look inside the brewery. There you are. Alright guys, well that is the end of our time then here at Parabolic Lazarus Brewing in the centre of Budapest in Hungary. So yeah, we enjoyed a really nice couple of hours here. I got to try 4 different beers. We started off with Agent Orange, which was this kind of orange juice infused hazy New England IPA. I thought it tasted quite unusual when I tried it, and then thought it had like orange in it as an adjunct, and it turned out it kind of did because it was orange juice infused. So yeah, Andre saw what I was doing and was very, very curious, and then he started talking to me a little bit more about the beers, and I got more information on the other ones, so that was quite fun. After that, we went on and tried the session IPA, which was the Man-Eater. That was really nice, quite a wheaty, bready and sort of zippy IPA. And then it was the Pink Parabola, the raspberry wheat beer. Really enjoyed that one. That was potentially the pick of the beer, and I was telling Andre that he should take that base wheat beer and use lots of different fruits in it. He told me it's a little bit difficult because it makes a mess of the brewery and things like that, but he seemed to agree with what I was saying, so you never know, you might get some blueberry parabola or something like this going forward. But yeah, for me the Pink Parabola was the pick of the 4 beers that I got to try, and we finished off with the Phantom of the Opera, which was the stout beer, and that one had 10% wheat malt, 10% smoked malt, and also some hibiscus in it. But I really enjoyed that one. It turned out very, very nicely. Had a little bit of sharpness on the beginning, so maybe a wee touch of oxidation in the line or something like that there. But yeah, that can happen sometimes with brew pubs. But the aftertaste of the beer was very, very nice. Andre took us into the brewery and we got to taste the cider straight out the tank. Wasn't quite finished yet. He said it was about 2% ABV. But yeah, we really, really enjoyed that. And we also got to try another beer that will be released a little bit later on, which was a rebrew of one they did last year. But in total, we spent about 16,000 florins. That translates to about 48 euros, if memory serves me correctly. It's about 3 euros per 1,000 florins. So 16 times 2.5, that's what? That's about £40 sterling, something like that. So yeah, really good value. Andre and Anna were very, very nice, and we had a really good time here. And of course the dumplings, which were Andre's mother-in-law's recipe, they were very, very good as well. So yeah, really cool to come here because this is a little brew pub. As you saw, it is pretty much just a little cellar where they brew their own beer. You're not going to find this stuff anywhere else, and there's really nice people running it. So yeah, make sure you come and visit Parabolic Lazarus Brewery, because this one is really quite nice. So yeah, that's that for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Make sure you check out Parabolic Lazarus' social media, check out my social media, and I'll catch you guys on another out and about video very, very soon. Slàinte just now. Cheers.